It began with a single knock at the door on a rain-soaked evening, and with it, the hush of possibility. Maya, a nurse in a bustling American city hospital, stood rooted in the hallway, her scrubs soaked through, not just from the rain, but from exhaustion. The hospital had been overwhelmed for days, overcrowded waiting rooms, exhausted staff, worried families. Yet when that knock came, she took a breath, straightened her shoulders, and answered. But the visitor wasn't who she expected. It wasn't someone seeking medical help. Instead, it was Jonah, a teenage volunteer with trembling hands, clutching a small cardboard box. He was the son of a janitor in the same hospital, someone Maya saw daily but scarcely knew. He'd come bearing sandwiches, fresh fruit, even handmade notes, simple things, yet lovingly assembled. For every overworked nurse and doctor on the night shift, there was a sandwich and a smile waiting. Maya stared at the box in disbelief. In the chaos of the emergency wing, such thoughtfulness felt like a light in darkness. She hesitated only a moment, then motioned Jonah in. Without a word, she helped him distribute the meals to her colleagues, physicians still catching their breath, interns bleary-eyed, respiratory therapists wiping sweat from their brows. A few laughed. A few cried. A few whispered thanks. Within minutes, the mood shifted. Suddenly, exhaustion felt bearable. Maya wanted to know what had prompted him. Over the hum of hospital lights, he told her that he knew his mom was working a double shift that night. He worried she, like everyone else, had no time even for food. So he stayed home, gathering what little money he had from his paper-route job, to buy food and bake cookies. He wrote notes, "You matter," or "Take a breath." "People here are tired," he said softly. "But maybe a small kindness can help them go on another mile." That moment struck Maya like a revelation. That healing, often cast in terms of medicine and procedures, could begin with something as human as a kind gesture, sincere and small. She realized how rare it was to feel seen, not by diagnosis, but by gentle attention. Unexpected, profound. Over the next few days, word spread through the hospital about Jonah's kindness. Staff began noticing each other more keenly. The nurse who had been snapping at colleagues paused to ask about someone's child's soccer match. The respiratory tech who had been too busy to rest offered to sit with a grieving family for a few extra minutes. The doors of compassion started opening, and every crack let in light. But the real test came the night the pediatric wing lost power. A storm had knocked out the generators, and the backup didn't kick in immediately. For a tense 15 minutes, scared children lay in darkness, monitors flickering off, parents silently panicked. In that moment, chaos could have overwhelmed everyone, or communities could rally. Maya grabbed Jonah, still around, volunteering to help. Together, they guided frightened siblings, handed out flashlights, comforted parents, kept the smallest patients calm. Jonah's earlier act had inspired others. By the time power surged back, there were doctors who'd stayed behind to carry blankets, custodial staff who fetched battery-powered fans for a febrile infant, and cafeteria volunteers who brought hot soup. As the lights came back on, the hospital looked different, not perfectly clean or smooth, but something had changed. A deep sense of human connection had ignited. The children fell asleep easier. The weary parents held hands instead of staring in silence. The staff took a breath and felt seen, not only by those they served, but by one another. In the trembling aftershock of the blackout, Maya realized that Jonah's small act, making sandwiches, writing simple notes, had sown a seed. A seed that had blossomed into shared care, mutual support, and renewed hope among strangers. Maya approached Jonah the next morning. He was seated on a bench in the lobby, head bowed, tired but proud. She handed him a clean face mask and offered a cup of coffee. His face lit up. She said simply, "You changed everything." He looked up, surprised. "You gave everyone a reason to go a little further," she continued. "You reminded us that amid pain, we can still show up as humans." Jonah's eyes glistened. He shook his head, shyly. I just wanted people to feel something real. Maya nodded. You did more than that. You changed the energy in this place. That afternoon, hospital leadership asked Jonah to speak at a small staff assembly. Standing in front of tired doctors, nurses, technicians, custodians, and volunteers, Jonah recalled his mother's long shift, his worry she'd go hungry, and his belief that someone, anyone, might need a small boost of kindness too. He spoke quietly, but with conviction. It's not about fixing everything, he said. It's about showing someone you care. It's about saying, I see you. Tears welled in multiple eyes across the auditorium. In a place often defined by sterile halls and protocols, humanity had re-entered the conversation. People began sharing stories, how they'd sat with a patient who'd no visitors, how someone had covered a shift without asking for thanks, how simple notes on cafeteria trays made someone's whole day. Within days, the hospital implemented a kindness kiosk, a small stand in the lobby where anyone could write notes to coworkers, patients, or visitors. It was stocked with envelopes, cards, pens, even origami cranes made by volunteers. People began leaving small tokens, drawings, thank you notes, bookmarks. The kiosk became a map of connection, coworkers relieving each other, families finding solidarity, strangers discovering they weren't alone. A month later, Maya visited Jonah at home on his day off. She brought him a fresh batch of his favorite cookies, chocolate chip, warm. They sat on his front porch and talked about what had happened, about how his small gesture had rippled outward. Jonah said he felt humbled, and a little amazed. Maya smiled at him. You showed that one person can spark something bigger than themselves. That kindness matters. That humanity wins. Jonah looked out at the street lights flickering on in the evening sky. I just wanted my mom to have a good night, he said. I didn't know it would ripple like this. Maya reached over and squeezed his shoulder. Sometimes the smallest actions have the biggest impact.